What's going on, my lovelies? It's Kyle here. So I want to direct this video for the empaths out there right now. Primarily for the empaths, but can be helpful for others. But empaths, you beautiful, kind, sensitive, highly empathic souls, this is for you. So my message for you is ego manifests itself as unhealthy selflessness. Once again, empaths, ego can and will manifest itself as unhealthy selflessness. Now, what do I mean by unhealthy selflessness? So, when a lot of people talk about ego and how we're trying to minimize ego or this illusory self, this aspect of us isn't actually true, isn't truly authentic. A lot of ways we manifest, or people think this manifests only as selfishness. Only through being selfish, only through thinking about yourself, putting your needs first. Taking. You're being selfish. But on the other side, ego also manifests as unhealthy selflessness. So just as it does show up as unhealthy selfishness, it also shows up as unhealthy selflessness. And why am I directing this towards empaths? So, for the empaths out there, some people out there, their ego primarily manifests as being unhealthily selfish. And that's what we're thought to do. But for you, empaths, your ego in many cases manifests and shows up as unhealthy selflessness. And this is not, and this is it's a weird thing to break down sometimes, because we are encouraged to be selfless. We are encouraged to be nice, to be polite, to be kind, to be giving. Sometimes to the point where you aren't supposed to put your needs first. Sometimes to the point where you're expected to be selfless. And many people might attach this identity to you. You might even attach this identity of being selfless to yourself, seeing that as a good thing. And in many cases, it is a beautiful thing. I'm so happy you have that disposition. I'm so happy that you lean towards unhealthy selflessness, because that makes for a much better world than the other side of being unhealthily selfish. But this is a good reminder that we need to be in balance. There's a time to be healthily selfish, and there's a time to be healthily unselfless, or unhealthily selfless. And we're trying to minimize the ways in which we're being unhealthily selfish and unhealthily selfless. It's weird. Sometimes it can get very confusing. But one way that you can check for yourself is if you're being too selfless in a situation is, are your needs being met? Are you holding your needs at an equal or somewhat equal level as the person that you're with, that you're interacting with a friendship, with a romantic partner, with a business partner, with a stranger on the street? I think it's beautiful to give a little bit more than you take. But sometimes we get way too out of balance. Sometimes, since we identify with being selfless, we go far too along in that direction, to the point where it is very unhealthy, not only for us, but for the other people that we're serving. They think we're always going to be there. They think we should show up and put our needs to the side to help them all the time. And when you get to this point where you are unhealthily selfless, you attract people who are unhealthily selfish. and you don't want to pair up with those people. You don't want to attract those people. You want to get yourself to a place where you are very healthy, where you are, at least for the most part, balanced, and therefore you attract and, more importantly, allow in people who are also healthy, who are also more balanced for the most part, who don't want to walk all over you, who don't want to put their needs first all the time or the vast majority of the time. You want to find relationships where they're more or less equal, with the give and the take. And it's very important for us to realize, especially if you have a very giving nature, especially if you are very selfless, for the vast majority of your life, you need to have a healthy sense of self. And many of us were trained, many empaths grew up in households where your needs came last, where your parents' needs came first, or another sibling's needs came before yours. And you might have fallen into this role of selflessness, unhealthy selflessness, just to get along, just to minimize the conflict. And this might not be just in your childhood. This could have been in a relationship in your adult years, and it shifted your personality. It shifted your behaviors, and now you find yourself being unhealthily selfless. I urge you, this isn't ego. Unhealthy ego shows up not in just selfishness, but also selflessness. And also, when you are more selfless to an unhealthy extent, you are not helping people in many of these situations. In many situations, you may be enabling them. In many situations, you may be coddling them when it's not healthy to be doing that. In many situations, you might not be doing what's best for that person because you feel this need to be selfless all the time. But there needs to be a balance. So if you find yourself, if you think you might be more unhealthily selfless than you would like to be, try to work on it. Try to bring this back into balance and know that it is the right thing to do. It is not ideal to completely be lack of selfishness. You need a healthy amount of selfishness to balance you out, to protect you. And to also know when your giving nature, when your selfless nature might be harming those you are trying to serve, because there are times where that is the case. Anyways, for the empaths out there, it might be beneficial to take a moment and reflect on yourself and your life and your behaviors and see, where am I being too selfless in my life? Where I'm out of balance, where I might be coddling someone a little too much, where I might be enabling their selfish behaviors. Because as beautiful as it is to be selfless, sometimes it is not the healthy route if you are already unhealthily selfless as a person, especially the empaths out there. I'll leave it there. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you're at in the world. And until next time.